The drugs flowing through these tunnels have caused untold human suffering and death here in the United States. And in Mexico, it's known that drug cartels force migrants into slave labor to dig them. Joining us now to discuss is the U.S. Representative for Arizona's 5th Congressional District, Andy Biggs. Thanks for being here tonight, Congressman.
Thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Great. So you're obviously in a border state yourself, and you co-chair the Border Security Caucus. Let me get your reaction to last month's record-breaking number of illegal border crossers, as just now released.
I think it was expected. Everybody I talked to on the border and in the CBP that'll talk to me indicated that the number was going to go up. We knew it'd be a record, and so I wasn't surprised by that. I'm not going to be surprised when in May you have an even bigger number that comes across. You can probably have another record number then. And what's happening is this border is absolutely open. There's very little border security, and that's not the agents' fault. The CBP agents are working their hearts and their tails off, but what's happening is the leadership is basically letting them down, and they're letting the country down. And so these policies of this administration are going to continue to incentivize illegal migration from literally 150 plus nations around the world. And if they get rid of the Title 42 policy, which they're talking about, it's going to even be more dramatic in the future.
And I know we've seen some of these tunnels before, but it's jaw-dropping to me. You look at this, there's rail systems within, and of course ventilation. I mean, it's very well thought out. It's something that it's not, just dug out overnight. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of digging, a lot of organization, and of course a lot of money, which then brings us back to the human smuggling and the drug smuggling. A lot of money going back and forth across that border in the hands of very, very evil and corrupt criminals, who are exploiting our open border. Does this tunnel that's been discovered in Southern California kind of show exactly what we're up against, especially for our border agents, what they're fighting right now? Highly organized criminal gangs.
Yes, it does. I mean, and when you consider the parts of San Diego, as you know, because you're there are places that are triple fenced, even. And they'll find a way over and around. Now, that requires incredible logistical and engineering feat, and that's really what you have going on here. But that's a result of the money that the cartels are receiving for human trafficking, human smuggling, and drug trafficking. So, and then our government is basically allowing people to come through on the top, and so basically it's overwhelming. And if you don't have the policies put in place where you can actually keep people from entering, you're going to get overwhelmed again. And this administration is not acknowledging that you have fentanyl poisoning going on at record levels all across the country. In the seizure in San Diego and Otay Mesa, that was just under 2,000 pounds, just under a ton of cocaine. And you have places on our border that still remain wide open that the cartels are exploiting as well. And so you have multiple cartels operating all along the southern border. They control the southern border. And this administration is basically asleep at the wheel, and they've created a national security crisis, a border security crisis, and quite frankly, a drug epidemic in this country with fentanyl coming in. And that's being put in all kinds of drugs that are coming into people, and they're killing people. 40% of these fentanyl pills that are coming in are lethal, according to the DEA.
You're exactly right. And fleshing out some of those numbers that you were pointing out from here, Southern California, looking what authorities are saying, you're exactly right. Exactly 1,762 pounds of cocaine. Also found 164 pounds of meth, and of course 3.5 pounds of heroin, totaling for $25 million. So exactly as we're talking about, a lot of money, a lot of drugs, a lot of pain and suffering in this nation. As you touched on, we are seeing a huge explosion in drug overdose deaths in this nation. It's now a leading cause of death for people ages between 18 and their early 40s. We saw over 107,000 such overdose fatalities just last year. And so many people are saying, where's the Biden administration on this? We know what they politically gain from all of this, but people would like to see, some of our military, perhaps troops, whatever it takes, go down to the border. But instead, we see the Biden administration redeploying troops out to Somalia. Help me figure this all out. What's going on here?
Well, it's a misprioritization of resources. I mean, so we're going back into Somalia after President Trump had removed people from Somalia. We removed people from Afghanistan. So apparently, the Biden administration says they're going to fight terrorists in Somalia, but not in Afghanistan. ISIS and Al Qaeda are reforming. Look, this administration has made a disaster of every domestic and foreign policy. But we need to, in my opinion, declare these drug cartels to be terrorists. They are terrorist organizations. And the Chinese are supplying all the precursor drugs to these factories in Mexico that are providing these fentanyl pills. We have got to acknowledge that and understand that we have to step up this game in a way that you can't lollygag around anymore. These people in the Biden administration are just feckless. They're doing nothing. We have death and destruction along the border. I mean, everything from from car crashes to attacks. You have women who are coming over. They're paying cartels, and yet they're being sexually assaulted by these cartels. Children are being sexually assaulted. Even the men are being sexually assaulted. And then when they get here, they're being exploited further. They're being enslaved, if you will, to pay off the cartels. It is a disaster that this administration, basically, they should be ashamed, but they're not.
Well, Congressman, thank you for keeping up the good fight in both D.C. and Arizona, and thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Good to be with you again.